In an age where our pockets are packed with thousands of songs and every whisper of the world is available on demand through podcasts, it's easy to forget what once served as our primary window to the world: radio. It feels like a relic from a bygone era, a dusty artifact on history's shelf right next to rotary phones and VCRs. But is that truly the case? Has its time truly passed forever? For most of us, radio is just background noise in the car or the kitchen. Familiar tunes, news updates, casual chatter. Yet there are some for whom it's far more profound. For them, radio isn't just a sound, it's a living, pulsating entity, an uncharted ocean brimming with astonishing discoveries and unsolved mysteries. It's not merely a pleasant nostalgic memory, but a genuine way of life, demanding deep knowledge, patience, and intuition. These individuals are true explorers of the invisible world. They don't just switch stations, they become a kind of ether pirate, striving to catch the slightest fluctuations across various frequencies. And sometimes, amidst the familiar static and musical waves, they find something entirely different. Enigmatic sequences of numbers, strange repeating words, fragments of phrases that seem never to have been intended for their ears. These seekers of the unseen, these listeners of the silence broken only by the rustle of secrets, are called radio stalkers. Today we'll delve into their fascinating world, pull back the curtain on a subculture few know about, and try to understand what mysteries invisible radio waves truly conceal. Prepare yourselves, because the world of the airwaves is far more enigmatic than you could ever imagine. Understanding who radio stalkers are begins by diving into a unique subculture that has grown deep within the broader community of amateur radio enthusiasts. If a radio amateur is a skilled craftsman who can build a transmitter, tune an antenna, and connect with someone on the other side of the world, a radio stalker is more like a detective. Their goal isn't just to establish communication, but to find something unusual, hidden, something that to an ordinary listener would just sound like white noise. Radio stalking is a specialized branch focused on the specific pursuit and reception of radio signals that, for various reasons, remain invisible or unknown to the general public. These individuals, while essentially radio amateurs, as they thoroughly understand the technical workings of radio receivers, the physics of radio waves, and all the nuances of the ether, employ this knowledge for one particular thrilling objective: to uncover something truly intriguing within the radio spectrum. They connect on specialized forums and websites, such as preom.org, where they share their discoveries, discuss mysteries, and assist one another in deciphering cryptic messages. Their primary targets are what are known as numbers stations. The name is self-explanatory. These stations typically broadcast sequences of numbers, sometimes encoded sounds, and occasionally even entire words or individual letters. According to the most widely accepted and plausible theory, number stations are used to transmit encrypted messages to intelligence operatives and agents working in foreign countries. Crucially, these transmissions are often encrypted using a method called a one-time pad, a cryptographic technique considered absolutely unbreakable without knowledge of the unique key. Radio, in this context, serves as the ideal medium for secure and anonymous long-distance communication. One of the key features of number stations, making them nearly untraceable, is their use of the shortwave band. Radio waves in this range possess a unique property. They can travel thousands of kilometers by reflecting off the Earth's ionosphere. The signal, upon reaching a certain altitude, bounces back towards Earth, then again towards the ionosphere, seemingly skipping between these layers, repeating this process multiple times. This allows, for example, a listener in America to pick up a station's signal from Europe or Asia. Beyond their ability to transmit signals over vast distances, number stations also possess additional protective characteristics. They might frequently change their broadcasting frequency, or they could be mobile transmitters, constantly shifting their location, which makes their detection and tracking incredibly difficult.
Of course, beyond mysterious number stations, radio history also features other unusual phenomena, such as pirate radio stations, which at one time sparked a genuine revolution but today are primarily of historical interest. And what about legality? In most countries, radio stalking itself is perfectly legal. Shortwave radios are readily available, and anyone can tune into any frequency. However, it's crucial to be aware of a fine line. In many countries, including the US, UK, and EU member states, it is illegal to listen to, and especially to decrypt, government, police, or military channels. The same applies to commercial channels if their operators have an interest in keeping transmitted information confidential. Now that we've grasped a bit about this unique hobby, let's move on to the most captivating part of our journey and explore some of the most interesting and enigmatic discoveries made by radio stalkers. Let's begin our deep dive with one of the most famous and undoubtedly the most mysterious number station, known as UVB-76, or affectionately dubbed the Buzzer by enthusiasts. This station is a true ghost of the airwaves, having begun its broadcasts as far back as the 1980s, and according to some accounts, even earlier. Operating on the frequency 4625 kHz, its signal can be picked up across northern and central Europe, with its approximate location pinpointed to the Leningrad Oblast, near the village of Karo, although previously the transmitter was located in the Moscow region. So, what does this station do? As its nickname suggests, for most of the time, it emits a distinctive buzzing sound, roughly 15 to 20 times per minute. This sound essentially acts as a marker, allowing automatic systems to identify the station and confirm that broadcasting is ongoing, indicating the station is alive. But the real intrigue begins in those rare moments when this monotonous buzzing is interrupted. Then male or female voices come on the air, reciting strange sequences of words and numbers. For instance, you might hear something like Mikhail, Dmitry, Zhenya, Boris, 26, or Yuri, Olga, Nina, Galina, 41. Just a couple of examples from many recorded messages. Sometimes even compound words formed from two short words separated by an O, such as Gazanotaim or Bobropsomkot, are heard. The frequency of these transmissions is unpredictable, sometimes a few times a year, sometimes several times a month. It's this very irregularity that compels radio stalkers to constantly monitor the station, ensuring they don't miss a single moment when the veil of mystery might lift. What is the purpose of this radio station's existence? There's no definitive answer, only hypotheses and speculation. It is almost certainly known that the station belongs to the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, specifically the Western Military District. The primary theory is that UVB-76 is used as a reserve communication channel, and the voice messages are either communication checks or encrypted instructions for their intended recipients. There have been claims of the buzzer being heard in military enlistment offices, suggesting its use for internal military communication.
However, there is also a more sinister theory, even embraced by reputable publications like the BBC. They suggest that UVB-76 is part of the so-called dead hand perimeter system. The essence of this is that if the station's broadcast were to cease due to a nuclear strike, the system would automatically interpret this as the demise of the command structure and launch retaliatory missile strikes. Though, to be fair, UVB-76 has been known to go off-air for periods and then return. The inability for unauthorized listeners to decrypt messages, coupled with the utterly mysterious atmosphere, has spawned numerous rumors and conspiracy theories around UVB-76. But we'll set those aside for today's discussion and move on to our next, equally intriguing subject. From the enigmatic buzzer, let's turn our attention to another equally famous number station, nicknamed the Lincolnshire Poacher, or the Ladybird. Unlike UVB-76, it isn't shrouded in such a dense veil of mystery, and there's considerably more information about it. Its period of activity spanned from the early 1970s until 2008. The station gained its recognition from the melody of the traditional British folk song, the Lincolnshire Poacher, which played at the beginning of each broadcast. Following this memorable tune, a female voice with a distinctive British accent would come on air, monotonously reciting groups of 5 digits. These sequences, as radio stalkers believe, were encrypted messages.
Although there was never any official confirmation, many ether explorers are convinced that the station was transmitting from a British military base in Cyprus. This assumption is based on a careful analysis of the signal, which indicated a particularly strong coverage area in that region. The Ladybird broadcast daily, usually several times a day, and its transmitters possessed immense power. This allowed its signals to be picked up not only in Europe, but also in North America and even Asia, demonstrating the impressive long-range capabilities of shortwave radio. In 2008, this radio station abruptly ceased its transmissions, and the reasons for this remain unknown. However, it is believed that changes in espionage technologies, the development of satellite communication, and the Internet may have rendered such number stations obsolete or less necessary for transmitting secret information. But the story doesn't end there. Another well-known number station, active from the mid-1950s to the early 1980s, was given the name Swedish Rhapsody. This name is no coincidence. Its transmissions began with the melody of Hugo Alvin's famous Swedish Rhapsody, followed by sequences of numbers. The distinctive feature of this station, which is also its most chilling fact, was that the digits were spoken in a child's voice. Listening to an excerpt from its broadcast, it's easy to understand why this characteristic created such a powerful and unsettling impression. Despite its name, the station had no connection to Sweden. According to Polish intelligence documents declassified in 2014, Swedish Rhapsody was under the control of the secret police of the Polish People's Republic and was used to transmit encrypted messages to spies in the Warsaw Pact countries. As for the eerie child's voice, it was synthesized using the technology available at the time. So, to the relief of many, no child was harmed during the recording. You can be absolutely sure of that.
Among the numerous discoveries made by radio stalkers, there's one story that stands out for its unusual nature and a touch of mischief. On December 19, 2004, radio stalkers in the USA picked up a signal from a previously unknown radio station. It was later determined that the transmission cycled through 4 consecutive frequencies, with a recording playing for about 10 seconds on each. In total, the transmission lasted 2 minutes, after which the airwaves would go silent. However, at the top of every hour, the entire sequence would repeat, as if a timer was counting down the moments for a new dose of mystery. The signal from this radio station was surprisingly powerful. It could be picked up across the entire country, and some listeners in the UK also reported receiving it, albeit with less strength. But what was it broadcasting? It was a phrase from the animated character Yosemite Sam, taken from the 1949 cartoon Bunker Hill Bunny. In translation, it declared, "Varmint, I'll blow you to smithereens." Listen to this clip, and you'll understand how absurd yet intriguing it sounded on the airwaves. The transmission ceased on the evening of December 23rd, but after the New Year, on January 14, 2005, they were heard again. Since the frequency used by the station, 3700 kHz, fell within a band utilized by licensed radio operators, the appearance of such an anonymous signal garnered significant attention from many radio stalkers and even regular amateur radio enthusiasts. This wasn't just a violation, it was a brazen game that couldn't go unanswered. The signal was particularly strong in New Mexico, so on February 16, 2005, 2 radio amateurs, equipped with specialized gear, set out to track down the source of the mysterious radio signal. Around 2:30 p.m. local time, they arrived at the Laguna Indian Reservation and approached a complex of buildings, which turned out to belong to the Mayesk Research and Development Center. This center was a military facility involved in developing mobile communication systems for the U.S. Army. Of course, the radio amateurs' approach to a military site did not go unnoticed. While they were photographing the complex, a guard approached them, shouting and demanding they stop taking pictures. The radio amateurs hastily retreated and headed home. And the most astonishing part? Just 3 hours after this incident, the signals from the mysterious station ceased forever and never appeared on the airwaves again. What was it? Just a prank by some technicians with a powerful transmitter? Or were these strange transmissions a test of some government communication system under development? In any case, using the amateur radio frequency band brought them unwanted attention and notoriety, which they likely didn't appreciate. We have only just scratched the surface of the incredible world of radio stalkers and their amazing discoveries. Of course, this is far from everything that has been found on the airwaves, and that remains a subject of intense discussion among radio enthusiasts. The world of radio waves is full of still unrevealed mysteries, enigmatic signals, and stories waiting for their explorers. Anyone who dares to tune their receiver to an unknown frequency could become part of this exciting adventure, encountering an echo from the past or a signal from nowhere. I hope you found it interesting to learn something new and to see familiar radio from a completely different perspective. Perhaps the next time you're switching stations, you'll remember the whispers of the airwaves, full of invisible stories. I'd be grateful for any support. Leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot.